Well then, I think it's finally time to take a quick look at Ekhein, the Baffler's Bunker. Now some people have come to call this the MR Fodder Lollipop, and I don't know what they're on about, because this thing is great. I soloed the Steel Path Netrusser with it and it was absolutely a-okay, and it smacks the absolute living hell out of Acolytes. I think it's mainly because it doesn't slot into the current damage over time meta very well, because it does pure impact damage with not a lot of status chance, but let me tell you something, having big upfront damage feels much better than doing damage over time. The blueprint for Ekhein is available from the Chicken if you're the rank of colleague or higher for 15,000 standing. And the build requirements aren't that bad, it's 25,000 credits, 2,400 Entrati Obols, 75 Necra Coils, 10 Shrill Voca and 3 Entrati Lanthorns. The Ekhein requires MR10 and it's fairly slow with a base attack speed of 0.767. This however is offset quite a bit with a special heavy insight buff that you get by hitting enemies with heavy attacks, which provides 20% attack speed and 80% bonus melee damage. This buff is indicated in two different ways. You have the standard icon at the top right corner of the screen with a countdown, but the weapon will also glow while this buff is active, which is a rather nice touch. Other than that, the Ekhein comes with a pretty solid range of 2.8, it has a 30% crit chance with a 2.4 times crit multiplier, 15% status chance, and it does a grand total of 340 impact damage per bonk. Now because hammers don't really have anything too special going on with their heavy attacks, I think the best way to build the Ekhein is to go with a light attack setup but utilize Tennokai for occasional heavies. We started off with the Crushing Ruin stance, which is the better of the two stances, but it also matched the polarity the weapon comes with, and for our Exiles we're gonna go with Dreamer's Wrath, so we get a bunch of Tennokai procs and some extra heavy attack crit damage. Then we're gonna add a splash of raw damage with Primed Pressure Point, which is followed by Blood Rush and Organ Chatter for crit, and Primed Reach for range. Then I have Gladiator Vice for attack speed and the extra Blood Rush effect from the set bonus, but this is because I am running a specialized Inaro setup with just 2 additional Gladiator mods, as well as Warcry and Arcane Strike. This provides a lot of extra crit, but more importantly, an absolute ton of attack speed, and if you don't have Warcry and or Arcane Strike on your frame, I would highly recommend you switch Gladiator Vice to Berserker Fury instead. And we top it off in a very old school way with Volcanic Edge for heat and then Primed Fever Strike as well as Voltaic Strike for corrosive damage. Now I originally didn't want to run Primed Reach on this because the follow through on hammers is pretty bad, it's at 0.4, but I got really annoyed at missing my heavy attacks all the time, so I put it back in at the cost of Weeping Wounds. Because, you know, I would rather have less status than not hit things. And it's fine, just procs less status, it's not the end of the world. The best thing about the Ekhein by far is fighting the Infested, because you get some absolutely massive heavies. I think the biggest one I saw was 9.5 million when I bonked the Charger over the head. And it's actually surprisingly good versus the Corpus as well, because you have a ton of impact damage that bashes straight through their shields. Though if you really want to fight the Corpus with this, you want to choose something other than corrosive and heat. You could, for example, double stack Toxin with Primed Fever Strike and a dual stab mod, and then either run Weeping Wounds or a Smite mod. And as you saw in the beginning, it works absolutely fine versus the Murmur as well, as I managed to solo a Steel Path Netrusser with it and it felt absolutely fine. It is slower than a big boy meta weapon, but it's also infinitely more fun because upfront damage is just cooler. The Ekhein is one of those weapons that's just perfectly fine. You know, it does more than enough damage to do Steel Path, but it unfortunately doesn't do idiotic amounts of damage, so people don't talk about it that much. But I would highly recommend you give it a try. It's not that expensive, it does great damage, and it's super fun because, well, it's a hammer and hammers are really fun. I feel like this is the kind of weapon that benefits from Tennokai the most, because previously, before Tennokai, this weapon would have been sort of mediocre, but now that you can throw in some heavies here and there to really spike up your damage, it can do everything the game will throw at you very comfortably. So yeah, definitely no mastery fodder. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and if there's anything you would like to add to this, feel free to leave a comment down below. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, and if you would like to become a channel member as well, by the way, you can check out the memberships and stuff down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.